Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council, Ms. Onitis, Ms. Scott, and those in attendance. Thank you for being here this evening. It's my pleasure this evening to present to you quarter one of FY 21-22 budget summary. And this summary right here, the first one in the year, because of accruals back into FY 21 and that type of thing, is the budget summary that has the least information that you'll see throughout the year. It's basically the year's beginning. 21 closed out. So this is the start of FY 22. Revenues and expenditures. As you know, the FY 21-22 budget was built with less restriction due to COVID impacts, and it was also based on a need to preserve fund balance to the greatest extent possible. And in that fund balance, as customary, we've made it almost a practice here. We do not touch our fund balance to balance budgets when we present those to City Council. We try to build those expenditure budgets within the means that are presented through the revenues that are generated in normal budgeting. The adjustment of revenues, which increased from 21 to 22, was based on those that were realized in the last half of FY 21, and we'll continue to monitor those receipts. And what we'll do is look at monthly totals against the previous year's monthly totals as well. Starting in the last quarter of fiscal year 21, we were very responsible with our expenditure control measures. Again, like we did in FY 20, that last half of the year we watched very close, and the last quarter we watched very, very close. And because of that, we also were able to create a budget that we're comfortable with meeting those 22 revenues, FY 22, that we're starting to speak about tonight. As information in FY 21, we had certain areas that were strong in revenues, and I'll address that just a tad at the end of the presentation. So if you look at our revenues for FY 22, July 1st of 21 through September the 30th of 21, the first quarter is going to appear light in all three types of your revenues. Your general fund, mainly because you don't have tax scenarios being collected. No real estate, machinery and tools, those types of taxes have been collected. Those are the ones that are due December 5th every year as part of the half-year tax payments. So that's not on there, but when you're looking at your budget, your main areas there are your general property taxes. That's your largest contributor. And then your other local taxes. Then as you notice, everything else is anywhere from 4 to 6 figures in there. But your 7-figure numbers, general property taxes, other local taxes, and then revenues from the state that in most cases are for a specific program or have been earned through a city expenditure. And looking at the expenditures, this right here for the first quarter, as we talk about functional areas, those 9 functional areas there, your largest areas: education, public safety, public works. Those are your 3 largest there. Then you come in with Parks, Rec, and general government. If you remember the judicial, one of the smaller ones is your court system, your public safety. That includes fire, rescue, law enforcement, as well as your contribution to the county. Revenues in the utility fund, water and sewer. This one specifically, there's no projection whatsoever. We feel like we're very close on in our general fund. However, the utility numbers, that July bill that comes out for your commercial clients, which your larger water users, that accrues back to FY 21. It's not showing in your 22 numbers, and that's because there's a meter reading involved, so it's for actual usage during April, May, and June of the previous year. So that's not shown there. That's why you don't even see a projected number there. But basically, these numbers are on pace with last year, are just a tick better. Now with the expenditures, they're a little more real time with what's going on. And in your utility fund, you've got four main areas. You've got your water filtration plant, you've got your wastewater plant, wastewater treatment plant. Then you've got water distribution, that's your piping system and getting it to your customers. And then you have your collection and removal, which is the process of getting it from the user to the treatment plant over in South Covington. Then you have your debt service there. The largest in those areas, the cost of running your wastewater treatment plant. All right, revenues, solid waste fund. In your solid waste fund, that's your landfill. So those monies that are coming from collection, which is the door-to-door, once a week. Then your commercial collections, usually the dumpster type apparatus, that is done dependent upon the need of the individual business. If you see right there, waste collection and refuse, and your landfill charges are your two main items right there. They make up basically $1.6 million of a $1.7 million budget. So what comes in is running these programs. Your expenditures budget on solid waste, again, it's through the end of September. Those right there, two main areas. Refuse collection, refuse disposal. Disposal is your landfill operation, and your collection is that day-to-day operation that you see on the streets. That right there, along with your debt service, make up the majority of that budget and where your expenditures will be this year. In that one, particular note, recycling $37,000, the same as last year. And for a budget, Ms. Oneidas, working with our provider, came up with that solution. As you can see where that dollar cost, instead of looking at $4,000 to $6,000 a month, there's probably going to be an initial monthly activity. Go look at hopefully $1,000 to $1,200 a month. So that's considerably less by using that compactor as opposed to using the regular bins. All right, actions to control impacts to budget. This is always a focus in making these budgets work. Monthly staff will review revenues, expenditures. We'll develop those projections as the year goes. Quarterly, we'll make a presentation to you all. This year, a particular note, this is a highlighted item, fuel cost, electric cost, natural gas cost, materials cost, and supply availability will be monitored. I don't know if you've noticed, but regular gas is about $3.25 right now. And that will impact a line item, those fuel costs, because as a city, we do have trucks. We have dump trucks. We have heavy equipment. And those right there use all the items, as well as lighting, heat, electricity, in all of our facilities. So that could be impacted. If revenues are trending negative to budgeted projections, we will adjust as necessary. And we haven't been forced to do that to this point, but we will do so. And through conservative budgeting and cost control, this is the good news for tonight. FY21 revenues and expenditures appear to be very favorable as we move into FY22. Our auditors have been here. We're getting very close to finalizing the numbers, and you'll have your final report in December. Any questions? Not, we'll report back to you in January of 2022. Yes, sir.
Also, getting back to the rising cost of fuel and things of that nature, also, it's been projected through this winter, at any rate, that the natural gas, electricity, and all that's going to go up considerably. So that's another thing to think about.
Yep.
Gas possibly $5 by Christmas weekend.
Well, I'm not sure gas is going to get that high, but natural gas.
Dominion has run notices about rate changes in the local paper. I have not seen anything yet with regards to Columbia Gas. But any of your private utility providers, especially the energy-related services, when there are rate changes to base rates or for per unit costs, the SCC, the State Corporation Commission, does require that they get reviewed, and then also that there's public notice made. So if there is a significant jump or an increase where then when we crunch the numbers, when we see it, if it starts to impact line items, we will adjust accordingly and be sure to let you all know, because it is a very real concern. I will also say on a note with regards to our annual financial report and finalizing the numbers, we don't have a finalized number yet, but we are looking at some very solid growth with regards to our unassigned fund balance, and what that means with regards to a potential surplus, which will yield some funds that we may be able to use as we see fit, as well as put some funds into fund balance. So we had a very good year. Hopefully by our meeting in November, we will have firm numbers and we can at least share that with you. But it is looking better than the growth that we saw in FY20, which was about $1 million in FY20. Any questions?
The agreement on the recycling, has that started yet, or?
No, it has not. A request was sent to all the local administrators asking if we could get together to have a meeting to discuss formalizing an actual funding agreement. Right now, there's the county has provided their consensus and support of moving forward with having a joint service. We are working to schedule a meeting. That involved the town of Clifton Forge, the county interim administrator and their finance person, as well as ours, and our communications person, just so that we can start talking about messaging, splitting costs, and all of those fun things, the details. So the ask has been put out there.
Any question? Y'all had in your packet last week, I think, a statement, banking statement showing fund balances in different banks and stuff. Make sure y'all saw that.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
One last thing, Mr. Mayor, I would like to share with council that we have hired a new building official. His name is John Crowder, he goes by Jay. Mr. Crowder started last Tuesday, and we've been very pleased with him so far, as far as meshing with all of our other folks on the team, and just how he has hit the ground running. So at your November meeting, we will present to you all a resolution to name him as building official. So if you see Mr. Crowder, wave and say hi. We'll be working on a PSA as well to formally introduce him to the community.
Thank you.
Because we were in closed session, we can't reveal much of that until we come back probably the 9th of November to talk about it. But we did look at a line of credit, and I think we've got some favorable numbers, and we'll move from there. I don't think we mentioned that in the beginning. So that's where we were at with that.